Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of the I Watch Horror podcast. As always, I am your host Matt, and today we have news on Sigourney Weaver's potential return to the Alien franchise, a new Saw film, and a new Friday the 13th film. Before we get started, be sure to like and rate the show. If you're listening on YouTube, subscribe for all kinds of great horror content. Alright, let's get to it. For die-hard fans of the Alien franchise, the perpetual question has always been the fate of its greatest hero, Ellen Ripley. After the character's complex and some would say unsatisfying end, the door to her return seemed sealed. However, actress Sigourney Weaver has confirmed a recent meeting with Disney, the studio that now controls the rights, to discuss reprising her iconic role in a new film. The potential spark for this return is a 50-page treatment written by Walter Hill, an original producer on the 1979 film. Hill and his partner David Giller were instrumental in the original script's development, including the very decision to make the lead a woman. Weaver described Hill's initial pages as quite extraordinary, and the material has evidently captured her imagination in a way previous films had not. She noted that after her last big screen outing as Ripley in Alien Resurrection, she felt the character deserved to rest. Yet this new vision is compelling, focusing not on more frantic action and air shafts, but on the social and political ramifications of Ripley's survival in a society that would see her, the one who tried to help mankind, as a problem to be tucked away. No official sequel has been greenlit, but Weaver has expressed a distinct interest in continuing to work with Hill to flesh out the rest of the story. For a character who has been synonymous with the franchise for decades, the possibility of a new, high-quality, and thematically rich conclusion to her saga is by any measure a monumental development. The Friday the 13th franchise is experiencing a massive creative revitalization following a long period of legal limbo that essentially kept Jason Voorhees chained to the bottom of Crystal Lake. The current rights holders, including the newly formed Jason Universe Collective, are actively developing the 13th film in the series. This push to revive the film series is part of a broader multi-platform strategy. The most significant project on the horizon is the prequel television series Crystal Lake. This show is being developed by A24 for Peacock, with Brad Caleb Kane serving as the showrunner. It's designed to be a deep dive origin story focusing on the dark history of Camp Crystal Lake and specifically the events surrounding Jason's mother, Pamela Voorhees, who will be played by Linda Cardellini. Reports suggest the series will explore the time period leading up to the events of the original 1980 film. Beyond the film and television series, the expanded universe also includes plans for a new video game and various other projects featuring the slasher icon. As part of this new era, the owners have focused on an authentic but slightly reimagined look for Jason. The character's famous hockey mask has been redesigned, featuring 13 holes as a deliberate nod to the franchise's unlucky number. This concerted effort signals a unified path forward for a property that has long been defined by creative and legal disputes. There has been an important clarification regarding the status of The Invisible Man 2, the sequel to the highly successful 2020 Universal monster film. Star Elizabeth Moss recently confirmed that the follow-up project remains in active development. The delay for a sequel has been noteworthy given the original film's massive critical and commercial success, where it earned over $100 million on a tiny budget, even with its theatrical run curtailed by the pandemic. Moss addressed this prolonged timeline, explaining that the creative team is deliberately resisting the urge to rush production. She spoke favorably of Universal Pictures and Blumhouse for their commitment to quality, a standard that prioritizes a compelling narrative over simply capitalizing on the original's financial success. Moss states that the core focus right now is assembling the right script. The team's stated goal is ambitious, to ensure the next chapter is, in her words, as good if not better than its predecessor. This dedication to crafting a worthy continuation of the story explains why the process is taking time, but it offers reassurance to fans that the project hasn't stalled. Sometimes a story from the fringes of horror manages to spill over into the real world with genuinely uplifting consequences. That is exactly what happened with Macon Blair's reboot of the cult classic, The Toxic Avenger. The film's distributor Cineverse decided to forego a traditional high-budget marketing stunt to focus on an issue central to the main character's plight, crushing medical debt. The protagonist before his transformation is a janitor whose life is upended by unexpected health bills. So instead of spending the money on an elaborate promotional campaign, Cineverse partnered with a national nonprofit called Undo Medical Debt. This organization has a unique model. They leverage donations to buy bundles of overdue medical debt, which hospitals and collection agencies sell for pennies on the dollar. The debt is then simply abolished. Recipients receive a letter informing them that their bills have been wiped clean. The campaign kicked off with a commitment from Cineverse to erase at least $5 million in medical debt, regardless of the box office performance. They then promised another $1 million in debt relief for every million the movie earned in its theatrical run. The response from horror fans and the general public proved overwhelming. As the final tally came in, the partnership between Cineverse and Undo Medical Debt didn't just meet their initial goal, they tripled it. The fundraising effort resulted in an astonishing $15 million in medical debt being completely eliminated. This extraordinary amount of relief is going directly to over 10,000 people across the country, lifting a tremendous financial burden and proving that the film about a radioactive mop-wielding hero can also be a force for real-world good. When a horror film becomes a cultural phenomenon, the immediate question is always about the sequel. For Blumhouse and Universal Pictures, the first Megan was a massive, unexpected victory. Made for a modest $12 million, it became a viral sensation and earned over $180 million worldwide. The sequel, Megan 2.0, was greenlit almost immediately. Against a budget between $15 and $25 million, Megan 2.0 only managed a worldwide total of around $39 million. This opening performance is a clear commercial disappointment, particularly when factoring in marketing costs. Critically, the reaction has also been noticeably cooler, earning a mixed to average score on Metacritic and a 57% on Rotten Tomatoes. The critical consensus points to a jarring shift in tone, moving away from the sharp satirical horror of the original and becoming what many described as a more action-leaning sci-fi thriller. Despite the pronounced stumble, the powerful producer Jason Blum is not ready to power down the Killer Doll franchise. Speaking candidly about the failure, Blum explained that the studio overthought their approach. They operated under the assumption that the Macon character herself was an unstoppable box office force, comparing her to Superman. This led to the ill-fated decision to genre swap and give the film a competitive summer release date. Blum admitted that the audience simply wasn't ready for a different Megan. They wanted horror with a touch of camp that they loved from the first film. Even with this once major box office hit now officially classified as a flop, Blum has been defiant about the future. He has indicated that plans for a third installment are still moving forward. The message is clear: the AI icon will return, with Blum stating, "Megan will ride again, I'll find a way." The expectation now is that the third entry will be a course correction, likely returning to the successful horror formula and more contained production style that defined the original. The King has spoken. Stephen King himself has offered a significant endorsement for the upcoming HBO Max series, It, Welcome to Derry, calling the first episode he viewed amazing and terrifying. This new show is a prequel to King's legendary novel It, the story that introduced us to Pennywise in the town of Derry, Maine, a place with an unsettling history that stretches back centuries. While the novel's core story focuses on the Losers Club, this series is set to explore the deeper, darker timeline of the fictional town itself. This show is scheduled to debut on HBO and HBO Max on October 26th and will run for 9 episodes. The ambitious part of this project is its scope. The producers are reportedly planning for a total of 3 seasons, with each season focusing on a different time period in Derry's troubled past. This approach suggests the show will not only be a lead-in to the events of the book, but a thorough chronicle of the town's recurring horrors. King's high praise suggests they're delivering on that promise of unsettling, expansive terror right from the start. Big news circulating this week for fans of the Saw franchise. The series creator James Wan is set to be hugely involved in the future of the films. That's according to Blumhouse head Jason Blum, whose studio recently acquired the rights to the property from the previous owners, Twisted Pictures. Blum has been quite clear about his creative strategy for the next chapter of the billion-dollar franchise. He wants to bring the original talent back to guide the series. The original Saw film, directed by Wan and written by his co-creator Lee Wanell, became an instant horror phenomenon back in 2004. Wan's creative involvement has been less hands-on with the sequel since the early days, but with his production company Atomic Monster recently merging with Blumhouse, he is now strategically positioned for his return. For his part, James Wan has confirmed his enthusiasm for re-engaging with the horror world he helped launch. He has stated that his return marks a significant creative step back into the franchise, and his goal is to embrace the original spirit of the film while simultaneously pushing the legacy forward in bold new directions. The entire move signifies a creative reset for the long-running series, which had 10 entries under its belt before Blumhouse stepped in. The films will continue to be made in partnership with Lionsgate, who still retain part of the franchise ownership. Essentially, one of modern horror's most prominent producers, Jason Blum, is bringing one of the genre's most successful creators back to the project he started, offering a fresh start for the series. And that will do it for the news this week. Links to all of my sources will be included in the show notes. For upcoming releases this week, we have 2 films hitting theaters, and we have 1 video-on-demand release. First up in theaters, Black Phone 2, and the synopsis reads: As Finn, now 17, struggles with life after his captivity, his sister begins receiving calls in her dreams from the Black Phone and seeing disturbing visions of 3 boys being stalked at a winter camp known as Alpine Lake. Next up, we have the Trick or Treat re-release, and the synopsis reads: 5 Halloween stories. A principal has a secret life. A virgin is looking for her first time. A group of kids pull a prank. A woman who loathes Halloween does not respect the rules, and a mean old man meets a demonic trick-or-treater. And for video on demand this week, we have The Strangers Chapter 2, and the synopsis reads: Left stranded in a small town with no way out, Maya must once again face a night of terror courtesy of 3 deadly killers whose rampage she must put to an end. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, share, all of those things. I would really appreciate it. It really is a huge, huge help. We are on YouTube, Instagram, X, and Threads. The handle for all 4 is I_watch_horror. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Until next time, take care.